So there is this philosophy that we have heart fields, and a heart field, when someone has a really big heart field, you feel them and hear about them before you ever meet them. And my next guest, I had heard about this person, how inspiring they were and how awesome they were, and that's an indication that this person has a big heart field. So I am with the amazing Erin Tetly.
Hi, Erin. Thank you so much for having me this morning. This is so exciting.
Yeah. So Erin has been on a transformational journey, and I would love for you to share a little bit of what you've been up to.
Yeah, so I feel like it all started when, I just wasn't comfortable. I have a big personality, right? So, I feel like throughout my whole life, that's who I was. Goofy, fun, loved everybody and got along with everybody, but I put people first throughout my entire life. And I feel like it suppressed what I could do and focus on for myself. And I feel like because of work and how dedicated I am with just, being successful in that field, but then just not focusing on self-love and care. And, I've always been overweight throughout my life. I'm sorry if I get emotional today. Sorry. So, yeah, I started, I'll just take a second. It's hard to talk about.
Oh!
Yeah. So yeah, I just I do feel like very much, it's self-inflicted. I can say I was lazy, and I kept saying tomorrow, and that was my excuse, tomorrow it'll start. And it's I feel like with a lot of people, they can relate, because there may be things that may not be being overweight. It could be anything in your life where you feel like you need to work on yourself, but you're always putting it off. And so I just said enough is enough, and I decided to start focusing on myself, which then helped me lead to a better, healthier version of who I am. And now I'm not saying I've changed, I'm the same Erin, but I just maybe look different. And, it's come a long way. I still have so much, so far to go. And I'm not just saying, what else is there to lose? It's just focusing on fully loving yourself. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I feel like 2 years ago, or over 2 years ago, my dad had a massive heart attack, and my dad has come a long way on his health journey as well. But pre-existing health concerns that he had is what led to his heart attack. And then I was like, holy shit, if I don't change, that could be me eventually. And it's stop putting yourself second in life. You need to be selfish and put yourself forward. And so it was cold turkey overnight. My friend Alex Salvatore, she was roommates with me at the time, and it was pretty incredible. She's like, Erin, I helped my parents transform into a healthier version of themselves. And she's like, and it all starts with food. And so I've always been active, but, I didn't even start hiking until a couple years ago because I was afraid of the physical inabilities. And by literally saying, I'm too slow, or people didn't believe in me, that's not even the case. It was just all in my head. And when I just said, put that shit aside, put yourself out there and start caring, you gotta start somewhere. So my girlfriend Alex just told me, gluten-free, refined sugar-free, that's her primary focus with her diet, and just cutting out those sugars, alcohols, things like that. And if you start slowly, you'll start to see. And because I was so overweight, it was melting off of me. I'm talking 20 pounds a week at the start. And if you keep up with your diet, they say, I think 80% diet, 20% exercise, and then you're incorporating physical activity, it was I changed overnight. And people, because of COVID and things, I haven't seen a lot of people, so then when they see you, they're like, holy shit, whoa, I haven't seen you in forever. So I feel I don't know, it's just been such a journey, and it's been hard. And I mean, it's not just a trend or a moment in life. I need to sustain this for the rest of my life,
Yeah, and the wild thing, Erin, is I've gone ski touring with you, I've gone running with you, and I have to keep up with you. So I could imagine, for a while, you had to keep up with people.
Yeah, I did, and it was hard, but at the same time, I'm okay to go up alone, even if my friends are ahead of me. they'll stop and wait, and we call it the asshole break. So you know when you're going up with people that are fast, and then you get to them, and then they keep going. So then you're like, okay, I guess we're going, without being able to catch your breath. And carrying, you know, 120, 130 extra pounds on me, I've just been weight training, doing all of these hikes, because if you think of like the skeleton structure and like below all of like the extra skin, how like the structure of the human body and how strong people are, especially with people carrying, you know, like 600-pound people, think about how strong they must be to carry that load. And so my motto was, I'm slow but I go. And a friend of mine previously said, you know, 1, 2, 1, 2, just keep her moving. And I have this replaying in my head just over and over, because pain is temporary. Mm-hmm. And if you just push through things, it'll eventually start to get easier. And I mean, with the training and ski touring with you, again, it's just like that whole physical ability. And I even feel like now, when you go out for runs, people are like nervous to go with you because they feel like they won't be able to keep up. And I still get that way. Right? It's a lot of pressure, but don't like put the time aside. You're just going out to have fun with your friends, you know?
Yeah, I love that. So you've lost 120 pounds?
Like 130 pounds now. I know, so like pushing 290 pounds. Isn't that insane? Like 287. And then everyone's like, wow, you must have carried it well, like you never, you know, but I look back and I feel like I was a balloon. Mm-hmm. And then to now, it's just so different. And I mean, like, I have so many insecurities still, and I feel like that just comes with time and like my whole life. Like, you know, I was bullied in high school. Like, I was friends with like the cool crowd, if that's what you want to call them. But still, you know, and like I think like I'm mentally strong, because to be able to be put through bullying, and to anybody that has been bullied, you know how hard it is, and you kind of feel like you're worthless, and you know, friends come and go in your life, but you just need to be strong. And yeah, like focusing on yourself is so important, because you come into this world alone, you're gonna leave this world alone, so you need to be comfortable in your skin. Because.
And when you look in the mirror now, what do you see?
You know, I see, like, you know, it's hard. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like, I still have so many insecurities, and then I look at like some of the flaws, like, you know, being so overweight and losing all that weight. You have like extra skin and whatever, and like, yeah, I feel like because it happened so fast, my body didn't like bounce back as quick as you'd think. Like, I've inquired about, you know, like being able to remove it, and you know, some of the clothes that I wear, I kind of feel uncomfortable because I see this like extra bit of belly, and it's like, I have that insecurity of just like, but then my boyfriend, bless his heart, I just tell him, I'm like, look at this, like, it's so hard. He goes, look at that as how far you've come, you know? And I just, he's too good to me.
No, you, like, honestly, Erin, when I get to spend time with you, I feel so lit up. And I remember we were running one day, and somebody made a comment like, hot girl summer, something like that, and you said no. You said fun girl summer. Yeah. And I remember thinking, thank you for saying that, because it's so uncomfortable that there's this like label of, oh my God, like, that our bodies or our images is all we're after.
Yeah, I know. It's horrible. And, you know, like, you can't compare. People are on their own journey. Like, you don't know what's behind the eyes, honestly. And for people to judge or whatever, like, especially going to the gym, like, you're going there to sweat, don't, like, and I mean, obviously people, you want to feel good, but people go there to, like, let it out, you know, they're there for personal self-love and just there to be able to work out in peace, and, you know, I need to just put that aside and just be comfortable, because there's clothes that you wear and you're just like, oh gosh, like, people stare, and, like, I always have this, like, mindset, like, if I'm biking and, like, I've noticed, like, with road biking even, you're just, like, in these clothes, and then I feel like people are looking at me in my stomach, and then I get these insecurities, and then I'm just, like, and then I get to this, like, bad mindset, that I'm just, like, oh, like, I need to get rid of this, like, this is, I've worked so hard, and, oh, it's just, it's so hard.
You do such a great job, because I would have never known that. Yeah. And it's just, like, so beautiful that you're being so honest, because in this Instagram world, we see all these happy, smiling faces and, you know, like, look how far she's come.
Totally.
And especially for someone, myself included, like, I've lost a lot of weight, and I look like a different person in photos.
Totally.
But I've got mad body dysmorphia.
Me too.
Yeah, like, you look in the mirror, and I still see the same girl that boys were like, well, she's fat.
Me too. Honestly, me too. And I feel like, do you still deal with that? Did it ever go away?
No.
I don't know if it'll go away, but I feel like you just need to look at those like small accomplishments instead, because if you look at now 2 years ago, like my memories, you know, my pictures with my old friends that I haven't seen in forever, like I get embarrassed to post those because I'm just like that, like I can't believe, like I'm ashamed of like how it's hard.
But I feel exactly
because I'm just like, oh God, you know, it's my best friend's birthday today, and I look back and I haven't seen her in a few years, and you know, especially with my parents, like I hadn't seen them, and I went last fall, and they were just like, holy shit. And my dad actually made a comment to me that, you know, he said it twice, and I got so mad because he's just like, well, what are you gonna do when you can't hike any more mountains? You're just gonna bounce right back to where you were, or not bounce back to where I was, but like bounce back to gaining weight. Your body's gonna wanna gain. And so I was just like, okay, yeah, but it's not, you know, just a trend. Like, it's not that I'm eating shit. Like, I'm gonna be constantly focusing on this. And then he said it again, and I just had to say enough is enough, and I walked away from the dinner table, and I was just like, you're making me feel so uncomfortable, and so like you're breaking me down. And then my partner had said to me, you know, Erin, I don't think he means it in a negative way. I think he's just saying, like, you're gonna be your body's gonna be susceptible of wanting to bounce back.
And it could also be something he's told himself.
Totally, yeah. And I feel like he's, you know, gone through this journey. Like, he had gastric bypass surgery, right? That's where you're like, be able to remove your stomach or make it shrink or whatever. And he's lost, I think he weighs like 190 pounds now, and he was like pushing 400, like 380 or 350.
Whoa!
Yeah, and so you should see him now. He looks incredible. But then, you know, and that's not the route that I wanted to do. Like, why would you have to do that? And I feel like I've caught it at a young enough age where it's like never is too late. And I feel like the most reoccurring question I get is, you know, how did you do it? And how can you sustain this? And it's like diet and exercise, but you need to want it. Because I didn't obviously want it enough to be able to just be like, I need to do this.
Yeah.
And then it came down to, okay, enough is enough. Your dad just had a heart. It scared the shit out of me. He could have passed away. And then I'm just like, okay, things need to change. And yeah, it takes time. But again, and it's small, it's small wins, because it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, and you may not see results overnight. And don't get obsessed with the scale. I felt like the best indicator of how I was doing was clothing, right? And don't be afraid of the scale. I mean, it's a good, but you can become obsessed, and I did. And then I plateaued at like 180. I was like, how come I can't get below this? And then, you know, I had just a lot going on. And then last year I got sick at one point, and I dropped to like 147 pounds because I was just, my sister's like, you look gaunt. Like, she's like, you look like sick. And she's like, are you eating? And my mom even said that, are you eating? And I always eat, like, especially with fueling the adventures that I went on last year. But yeah, and I see too, like now it's just, and even now if I maybe slip off a little bit with eating, I can see it quickly with my body. So my body is gonna hold on to it, and it's easy to get back. So that's why some people you'll see who have successfully lost weight, but then may bounce back.
Okay.
So that's something that I'll fear forever.
Okay, but maybe this is a belief system. You're not wrong. But I'm sure as you started to shed the weight, I'm sure from 180 to 160, something shifted in the mind.
Totally. I mean, you gotta be strong.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things actually with this whole journey is be comfortable with saying no. Especially at like staff parties or office parties where there's potlucks. I'm eating like rabbit food. And I mean, it is self-joy for sure in food. I love food. Food is, you know.
You're an amazing cook.
Yeah, and I do, you know, and I'm very more plant-based now.
Okay.
Not to say that after a big run, I won't crush a pizza like once in 3 weeks or whatever. But at the same time, it's like moderation, and you want to enjoy life too. And you want to be able to eat the cake, right? And enjoy it. But it's all being able to be comfortable with saying no. And people need to respect that. And you'll even see, I'm not much of a drinker either. And so when you go out, when you're not actually drinking, people will offer more. It's bizarre.
It is. And it's wild too that I almost have to say when I'm not drinking, like I act like I'm an alcoholic so that they'll stop pushing it on me, because we would never force an alcoholic to drink or say, you used to be so fun.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I used to be really inappropriate and do stuff I regretted and eat a bunch of stuff when I got home.
Yeah, and then same with me. And then the next day you're hungover, what's the first thing you want? It's greasy food or a Caesar to start off the day because it makes you feel good, right? And yeah, I needed to stop that. And I feel like, yeah, by stopping and feeling obligated was the best thing, because now I don't deal with it anymore. And you don't deal with it's like maybe smokers. You have to remove yourself from the situation in order for you to be successful with trying to quit. And same thing with like my weight loss and choice of changing the way that I was eating. I wouldn't go out to eat because I didn't want to spend $30 on something that I could make at home.
What has been the biggest shift in terms of friendships from, like, let's say Erin 130 pounds ago to Erin now? What's the difference in the people that you keep near?
I've always had such a good group of friends here in town. You know, being here, I'm going on to 12 years next year, but I've hit my 11-year mark. And I feel like you get close to the people that stay in town for a while. I feel it's a very transient town, and you meet people all the time, but I feel like the ones that are family here have been here for a while. And they've been a huge part of this journey. They've never given up on me. They've always put themselves into a situation of saying, come, we know that you obviously are overweight, but why would we invite you to come do something if we didn't want you to be a part of it? And they are so patient with me, and I feel like they're a huge part of why I have had the opportunities that I've had in my life. You know, go from ski touring to running. I mean, I've got such a good group of girlfriends that I've been running with each week, and I wouldn't be able to keep up a few years ago. Yeah. And they're so inspiring, and they are also so, again, just in awe with the transformation. And my girlfriend Judy yesterday said, you know, Erin, describe how you feel right now in 3 words. And I was just like, whoa, I'm gonna need a second. And so she's like, you don't have to say it right now. And I only came up with 2. And I said strong, but then I said insecure. And then I hadn't come up with the 3rd one. But then I just wanted to say inspiring, because people message me all the time and they're like, you know, you should do a blog, or you should write recipes, or, you know, like what has done it? Like, how come you've done this and sustained it? And I just tell them, like, you need to learn to love yourself. And that's something that I didn't do 2.5 years ago. And now I've learned how to do that. Still not there. I can always work on it. But I feel like, yeah, it's just that my friends have been such a huge part of this, and they've never given up on me. Like, Erin overweight or Erin now, they've always been my friends. So regardless of what I look like, they love me for me, you know.
And how do you know that you love yourself?
Because I wake up every day and I'm excited to take on the day, and I know that I'm loved and valued, and I feel like I'm a positive impact to like the purpose of my life. And I'm just proud, like, of how far I've come, you know. And
maybe that's the other word.
Proud. Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's
Judy,
a good one.
Proud. Yeah, and so I just want to inspire others, and I feel like I've just shared my story, and it's like completely, you know, 360'd and or 180'd, what would it be? I don't know.
I think 180.
180, yes, okay, 180. You know, and I feel like it's onward and upward, and it can only get better, and I feel like with COVID and everything happening, you know, I felt a lot safer because of just being healthy and being confident in my health. And I feel like, you know, I've focused so much on self-love and care, and yeah, I just have learned a lot about who I am, and I do things for me now, and I am who I am, and people may like or not like that, so.
I mean, I've never met anyone that doesn't like you. You seem to be training for something. Are you training for something, or are you just like...
Yeah, I turned 30 in a couple weeks on the 22nd, so 2 weeks today. I've been training to run the Canmore Quad, so Lady Mac is closed this year, which I'm okay with, because this is going to determine whether or not I'm capable of achieving this goal. So I'm going to throw in minors, which is an easy 4th peak because it's right off hauling. But fair enough, I'm going to call it my Canmore Quad. There's no rules to this. I'm just doing it for me. And my girlfriend Sarah's been training too. So she's got her cousin as a coach. I had Sam Dickey for the first 4 months of this year. And I've only done 2 flat ground runs last summer. It was only 5Ks, but I started trail running. So I started to do solo missions where I would hike up really fast, and then I would, well, in my terms, really fast enough that I could go. And then
I'd run faster than me, just for the record. She's quite fast.
And so I would hike up, run down, and then I started to see, okay, this is fun. I like this, because you can do after work summits. And then last year I was all about bagging peaks. And so I just wanted to check more of them off the list. And so I nailed down the ones that are short and have a lot of vertical. Those are the ones that I love, because it's right to the point and you gain high quick. And then, so this year I just said, you know, I got laid off in October. I'm back at work now. I returned in March, but I had so much free time, and I was like, what am I going to do? And so I had this goal. I was like, might as well get dirty when turning 30, because trail running is a tough sport when you're out there getting, you know, dirty, and then you could fall or whatever. Try not to fall. And so I was like, okay, am I capable? But I wasn't sure, because I hadn't done super long distances. It's a lot of vertical. And so Sam Dickey had reached out and said, hey, you know, do you have any goals this year? And I said, to run a marathon and to do the quad for my 30th. He's like, awesome, let's start a training plan for you. So I started running about 50K a week, and it was hard because my body had gone from not running to running every week, and 4 times a week, which was a lot. And I just found that it was starting to take the joy out of the sport, where I felt more of I'm being told to do something rather than because I want to. And so it was tough. I'd like be crying, putting my shoes on, and just being like, this is hard. Why am I not enjoying this? Am I doing this for me? Am I doing this for the right reasons? And I feel like I was burning myself out, because I like to run, but I also like to do other things like bike and ski tour. And then I felt like, if I had a 10K run today, I'd be out touring all day and then have to come home and being gassed and have to run.
Oh my God.
But it's not that. And if I told Sam that, he would be like, just go touring today. Yeah. You know, it's lower impact, you're walking uphill, like it's fine. But I just said to him, you know, I'm having a hard time with this. I just feel like I just need to go solo again and just focus on what makes me happy. And so these longer runs with the girls and, you know, doing post-work burns up mountains and stuff is what's been keeping me happy, and then mountain biking. And so this summer I've just been training daily, and then rest days are hard, because living here, you get FOMO. You look outside and you're like, it's supposed to be a rest day. And people are always reaching out, hey, you want to go do this? And you're like, no, I do. I'm going to, fine. So, yeah, I'm running it in 2 weeks. I'm really excited to do it and to say I've done it, because it's been a lot. It's been on my mind.
Like, imagine you 2 years ago, listen to yourself. You're like, it's a rest day, but I want to. Okay, I'll be there.
I know.
Like, did you ever think you'd be that person?
No, I feel like my life shifted once Flaked Pies. Flaked Pies was a huge part of my life for 4 years, and I was working 100 hours plus a week, and it was almost like I was afraid to have a day off because I didn't know anything better. And then I was just lazy. I mean, I worked so hard. I worked with Pursuit, and then I worked with Flaked, and I would be up at 5 a.m. to be at work for 6:30 to help with the tours in the summer, and then I'd finish work at 3:30 or 4, and then work till midnight, and do that every day because we had the markets. And
I feel like it was the unhealthiest part of my life. I was super stressed out. And then once we said, okay, like, we need to focus on ourselves and maybe take a little hiatus from this, because it's clearly, it's very successful, but it was killing us. And so, you know, the hardest thing to come by right now is a kitchen in this town. And if something was to be thrown at us, the opportunity, if it presented itself, yeah, sure, we have this reputation in a sense. And if we were to hop back on, I wouldn't be concerned. But, you know, it's just, I feel like that was the switch of my life where I needed to take a break.
Yeah, you know, it's wild too, because I think a lot of people knew you as Flaked Pies.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden this chick comes out of the woodwork with like slamming peaks and doing all these epic adventures, and I was like, I'm confused. Isn't that the Flaked Pie girl? Like, I don't get it. It's interesting, a teacher of mine says that we don't get rid of an addiction, we swap it for a different one.
Yeah.
And myself included, because I'm really getting into endurance stuff. And I'm like, oof, this is interesting.
Yeah.
And so my question to you is, like, on those rest days, like, how do you rest?
I bake.
Okay.
I'm always in the kitchen. I always like to have my own granola bars or protein balls or whatever you can freeze. And then I'll bake and keep myself busy that way, because I still love to cook. And I feel like that's something that will distract me, or, you know, organizing the gear or doing this. I mean, even for a rest day, I find like walking up tunnel, and I mean, that sounds crazy, but just going for a walk is like active recovery.
Yeah.
Movement is medicine, and I'm a firm believer of, like, if you're gonna go for an easy bike ride, that's a rest day.
Yeah.
I mean, 30 minutes outside with moving is better than not at all.
Yeah.
And I feel now I'm starting to see too, recovery is so important, especially because your body just won't have time to get back to 100%, and then you're underperforming. Yeah. Or you just need that tapering period to then achieve greatness, you know?
Yeah. I remember I had hurt my foot and I wanted to run my half, and you said to me, take a week off, like, rest your foot, and it was such good advice.
Yeah, and you'll run your best with a week or two off.
Yeah.
And the hardest part about running is when you stop, getting back to start, because the momentum. But then, you know, you have this, it's like a mental battle where it's in your head being like, I'm not going to perform. And I'm very competitive, and I'm a very much a numbers person. And I needed to put that aside, because being out there is, and you don't have Strava, right? And so, like, and I just say, wow, that's incredible, because you go out for you, and as do I. Yeah. But then you see these numbers and you almost get addicted to, like, comparing, or, you know, but I also see it as an inspiration. Because then I see people out there crushing it, and I'm just like, that just drives me to want to go outside. Like, and if you are having a lazy day when you're like, oh, I could do nothing, open your Strava and see how many other people are crushing.
Totally.
And then you're like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, that was the one thing I found as I was preparing for my half, is I started to get competitive. I don't have Strava, but I knew what other people's times were. Yeah. And I knew people were doing it a lot faster than me, and then I got down on myself, and I was like, well, you're not that good. You're kind of old. Maybe you shouldn't do it. You don't even like running. And I was like, no, that's not why. No. Like, for me, the endurance piece is all about my head game. Yeah. Because I encounter this dark little spot in the back of Erin's head that's like, quit, it's too hard, quit. And I'm curious, like, when you go in the pain cave, what's your motto to get out? Or, like, do you just...
Good question. I get into it. I know, and my friend Remy told me pain is temporary, and I really take that, because you could slow down. I feel like I perform my best when I'm alone. And I feel like that mental game, that battle that you were just talking about, it's such an achievement when you push through it. Because then you get to the top, you're like, oh, I made it, you know, like, let's go down. And I love the downs, because you work so hard to get up that I just say, all right, open it up, like, let's go. And so you just start cruising down, and it's so, you know, heart-filling and amazing, because you've worked so hard, you're now on the way down, and you're like, I get to live here and do this. And yeah, the pain cave is something that it sucks, and it really just brings you like to that point of like, I could quit, but like I said, it's so temporary. When you get to the top, there's nothing better feeling. And yeah, like you may have a day where you turn around, but that's not that you didn't achieve. Like you just wasn't your day, and tomorrow is a new day, right? So
I love that.
Yeah.
And hearing yourself say that, and you think of the word insecure, like those two things don't sit. And what I pose to you is like this insecure piece. Maybe that Erin's dead.
Yeah, I think it's the insecurity comes a lot with body image.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that, like, again, the body dysmorphia and just, you know, what you see online and just comparing yourself to your girlfriends. Like, I don't know, like, it's hard, and I feel like it's something that's just different than other people. Totally. It's not like, you know, if somebody's overweight, they're overweight, okay, but then when you're in clothing and then you have something that other people don't, which is like this extra skin or just whatever, and it kind of like, you know, but again, it kind of just, it's unique, it's different, and I feel like people look at things like that. I don't know, this is all in my head.
But it's interesting. Yeah, you think they're staring at it. You know, I've got stretch marks for my kid, and I'm always like, well, I can't wear a bikini because they're all going to look at my stretch marks.
Yeah, but then again, it's a story. There's something behind it.
And like I was mentioning in the beginning, this heart field, because when I think of you, Erin, I think about your bright blue eyes, I think about your gorgeous hands. You have the best hands I've ever seen. When I met you, it's funny, you were in your truck and you leaned into the car and you had your hands on the windowsill, and I was like, oh, I love her hands. But when I think about you, really, like, and this is for most people, is like the feeling that they give you. It has nothing to do with what they look like, and yet we get stuck there. Like, I want to be breathtakingly beautiful, but I also want to light up a room.
Yeah.
You know? But
You're
it's
both.
Well,
you are both there.
But do you know what I mean? Like, it's like I want to be around those people that light the room up. I want to be around the girl that's like, it's not hot girl summer, it's fun girl summer. And yeah, like you're so inspiring.
Thank you. You know, Erin, it goes a long way, especially with the energy that you put out. You need to be selfish in the sense of you need to choose who you surround yourself with these days. Because the negative energy, there's a lot of negativeness going on in the world, and you need to, you know, I'm a sponge, and with the vibes and the energy that people give out, I am attracted to it. And so if people are negative, it's easy to flip that switch and to become negative, and we don't have time for that. And you need to surround yourself with people that are worth, you know, your time and energy, and you don't want to, and it's exhausting trying to keep up with people that just don't understand or don't want to understand, you know, and it's not our place to be on their side as to why, unless you are truly interested. But I feel like at the end of the day, you need to surround yourself with people that light you up and that make you bring the best of who you are.
Yeah.
Because then what's the point?
I know, and that support you and that have your back.
Always, yeah.
So how do you show up on the really hard days?
How do I show up? You know, I try. I mean, I don't have many horrible days, you know, but when I do, a good, you know, cry, I'm very emotional. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm sensitive. I'm all of the above. And so, you know, when I have a bad day, sometimes, you know, you just need to hold your head high, talk to somebody about it, because holding that stuff in just doesn't help. And I feel like movement helps me get through those tough days, because at the end of the day, if you're holding on to something, just go outside. Honestly, look outside where we live. It's absolutely gorgeous. And, you know, being outside is medicine for me. Being in nature, I love it so much. Every day I look up a cascade and I'm like, holy shit, we live here. Look at this mountain.
I know.
It's amazing. And so, I don't know. I just feel like I need to talk to my boyfriend Brayden about it if I have a hard day. And it's always leading up to my period.
Yeah, I
you know?
preach.
Yes, always.
Preach.
Yeah. So, and I know it's coming because I'm a different person, and I just need to relax. And I'm very, I just find the hard days they come and they go. But at the end of the day, you just need to be strong.
I love that so much. One of my favorite yoga teachers, she said she used to go to India, and the teacher would say to her, because she wasn't very strong, and she was one of the first like females that got into Ashtanga yoga, and he kept saying, you need to be stronger, you need to be stronger. And she would cry, and she couldn't do things, and he'd yell, you need to be stronger. And she's like, he meant physically, but he meant between the ears.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like even with work, and if something, you know, flusters you, or if I get too angry, I cry. And I feel like over time too, with this transition of being a healthier Erin, my emotions, yes, I'm still very emotional, but they're a lot better. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I've just learned not to sweat the small stuff, because stress doesn't help you at all. Mm-hmm. You lose time, minutes off your life. So I feel like you just need to, you know, push through and not honestly sweat the small stuff, because tomorrow's a new day. And, you know, I always, and even with myself too, and a big part of me when this whole journey is like, you're not going to die if you don't eat the cookie. Because sometimes you feel like you want the cookie and you may not survive, you know, but like, because it's hard to say no. So yeah, that's a big one. And to anybody that is trying to change, you know, like, tell yourself you aren't gonna die if you don't eat that cookie.
Yeah.
And swap it for a cucumber or apple or something.
Okay.
Something else. Or a big thing that I learned too is find recipes of the food that you like and convert it into something healthy. So like, you could do like cookie dough, for example, you could make it into like healthy protein bites. And instead of using refined sugars or flour or anything like that, you can make it with oats. You can use like even a little bit of maple syrup. Obviously that's a sweetener for sure, but it's a lot healthier than a refined sugar. So just find ways, instead of cutting cold turkey, that still make you happy, but are a lot healthier options for yourself. Because I feel like you need to prep, or else you get lazy, and then there's no option for you to have a quick snack.
You go bad choices.
You go bad choices because it's convenient. We're all about convenient, path of least resistance. People don't like, you know, to be, challenged. Our bodies are very, you know, lazy, and it's the mental battle that we challenge that push ourselves to do things.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then what about for folks, I know I've got a couple friends that want to start running.
Yeah.
Maybe they're overweight. Like, any suggestions on the physical stuff?
Yeah. Start small. 1K. Man, I remember when we were running, I said, when you and Bree went out and we went for a 5K, and I remember being like, this was the max that I could ever run. And that's just you have it for breakfast. And it's amazing, like, you know, when people want to get started, I feel like change the habits that you already do. So instead of running, if they are overweight, it's like, okay, well, before I even start running, what can I do to help me feel lighter? You don't need to look, but feeling, by eating well and sleeping well. I mean, you know, switch the vehicle for a bike, or walk more. Or if you're gonna ride to the grocery store, walk. You know, do the baby steps. And I feel like the diet though is the primary contributor to the weight loss. Like, you need to get that under control, because if you do, and it's the late night eating, like I did intermittent fasting, and I chose to do it during my work week, because then you can eat, and this is like you're strict, and then, you know, and then you see the pounds drop, and it's not something that I would is sustainable forever. But by doing things like that, just helps speed things up. I mean, I've looked at diet pills and this and that way back in the day, and I'm just like, that's, again, the lazy route out. Like, why don't I just change my habits? Are you gonna still eat whatever you want?
And do you have a favorite book?
My favorite book actually is The Alchemist.
Oh, love.
Yes. And so his journey and adventuring through the desert, and, you know, just that story you can relate so much to, and it was absolutely beautiful, and I always recommend it to people, and it's one of my favorites.
Talk about alchemy. Talk about changing, transformation, put it through the tapas, the heat.
Everything.
Change.
You know, and the consistency and not giving up, right? And that's a lot of what that story is about.
Yeah. And what about any parting words?
Any parting words, you know, I always tell people I'm here to ask questions, and I want to inspire other people to do this, and not that it's a trend or anything, but to learn to love yourself and to be a healthier version of yourself. And, you know, and that goes and the transformation and change, like, it's a lot. I feel lighter just with my thoughts. And you know, obviously there's still a lot that I'm working on, but I feel, you know, inspired by so many people around me, and I just want to do that for other people. And,
I love that.
yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank
Erin.
you,
You're an
Erin.
absolute freaking delight.
Thank
Oh my God. If you ever get a chance to run with her, to ski with her, to bike with her, like jump on it. So for those of you listening, be sure to rate and subscribe this podcast. And thank you so much for listening, and tie up your running shoes and go for 1 kilometer.
Yeah. Thank you, Erin.